Season 4 of Bluey is bringing something brand new, the continuation of iconic episodes. And the first one will be Baby Race Part 2. But this time, it's going to focus on a bingo story. Are you ready to find out what the brown pup's very first days were like?
Bingo!
Talking. Bingo had a really hard time learning how to talk, and we're going to find out more about that in the upcoming season. While part 1 of this episode focused on Bluey learning how to walk, Baby Race Part 2 is going to show us Bingo's challenge. The younger healer, just like her sister, will ask if she's better at something than her cousin Muffin. In this case, she'll ask Bandit if she draws better than the other pup. That's when Mr. Healer will say, "Make your own race, because your cousin learned a few things before you, like talking." Bingo loves drawing just as much as Muffin. We've seen this in the Perfect episode and in the video call story. But here's the thing, Bingo struggled a lot and took a long time to learn how to speak, even though she's older than her cousin. And this will be the very first time we get to learn what her past was like. If you're curious, grab your popcorn and that favorite drink of yours, because another Cinewave is about to start. Floppy. Have you ever wondered why Bingo got Floppy? It's because she had a hard time expressing herself when she was little. In Baby Race Part 2, Bandit is going to explain the whole story. As you probably know, Bingo is a pup who goes to therapy. The Bad Mood episode, where Bandit creates a character to help calm her down, is proof of that. Floppy is a plush bunny for comfort, which means it helps a baby feel safe enough to speak. Shy pups like Bingo, once they make a friend, feel more free to talk about their feelings. That's why in the Sleepy Time episode, she dreams about Floppy, because that toy is her safe space. In Baby Race Part 2, we'll find out it was Bandit himself who bought the bunny at the same toy store where they get Muffin's birthday present. Baby Bingo falls in love with the bunny at first sight, and thanks to that, she starts expressing herself better. Could this be the reason why, when Bingo says she needs to grow up, she ends up letting Floppy go? That mystery might finally be solved when the new season comes out. Helping. If you've seen the mini Bluey episode, you know that Bingo loves helping out. And there's a reason for that. Since she couldn't talk to anyone, the only way she got attention was by doing something important. If you remember her birthday episode, you'll recall she needed someone to watch her doing a pose with both hands on the floor and her feet up in the air. In Baby Race Part 2, Bandit will show that one of the steps Bingo took to start talking was helping people. That's how she picked up words. And that's super important because it connects to her whole personality. Of course, this also means Bingo caused a lot of chaos in the past, and the omelet episode is proof, since she ended up breaking several eggs. Poor Bingo. She just wants to help and learn how to do important things. And in Baby Race Part 2, we'll get to see where it all began. Bugs. Learning to talk is basically discovering words. Bluey is great at showing that, and in Baby Race Part 2, we're going to discover something interesting about how Bingo learned about bugs. It's super simple. Bandit explains that the brown pup loved insects so much that she wanted to stay in the backyard all the time. It didn't take long before she knew what a caterpillar, an ant, and even a ladybug were. When Bandit tells the story of the day Bingo sat on an anthill, the little pup will also discover the moment she started getting into nature. Do you see how important that is? It's not just a story about how Bingo learned to speak, it's an episode about how her whole personality came to be. That's why all these Part 2 episodes are showing up in Season 4. We're gonna get a bunch of them, so get ready. What's your favorite Bluey season? Comment with #bingo so we can go back and watch everything again. Short story. But why is all this so important? In the mini-story 10 Bottles, we learned that little Bingo had a really hard time learning how to speak. Muffin, the pup Bingo's going to compete with, is younger, so it would make sense to assume the Red Healer spoke first, right? But that's not what happened. In the story, we see Bingo struggling to even count from 10 to 0. Yes, she's a super smart little pup, but Muffin has a stronger personality, and everyone agrees on that. In Baby Race Part 2, Bandit is going to explain that Muffin learned her first words before her cousin did, even though Bingo is 1 year older. But that's okay because everyone moves at their own pace. Show and Tell. In the Show and Tell episode, we find out the real reason Baby Race Part 2 needs to exist. Bingo has to do a class presentation about crab claws, but she can't do it. All of this is a hint that in the past, this little pup really struggled to learn how to speak. Ludo Studios, the animation studio behind the show, is clearly making this episode to finally answer the mystery of how Bingo managed to adapt, even with so many challenges. Of course, it's going to be funny to watch, since Bingo also makes a few mistakes when trying to say certain words. Favorite thing. We see something like that happen in the Favorite Thing episode, when Bluey makes a joke about Bingo not being able to say a simple word. In Baby Race Part 2, Bingo is going to realize that speaking properly, using the right words, was actually a huge struggle for her. That's why she got so upset with Bluey when her sister made such a mean joke. In the new episode that's coming, the lesson this little pup is going to learn is that she doesn't need to keep competing with Muffin to prove who's better, because everyone moves at their own pace. Dance mode. It's not like Bingo doesn't still have trouble speaking even now, and we're going to show you that this is still a challenge she deals with. In the dance mode episode, it eats the chip that Bingo wanted, and she gets upset. But then Dad has a blueyant idea. He gives her dance mode, which means Bingo gets the power to make her parents dance anytime she wants. So far, so good. Just a typical day in the Healer family. But Bluey, who loves being in the spotlight, accidentally ends up taking dance mode from Bingo. Chili does the same thing, and Bandit decides to buy his daughter's dancing rights. All of this happens because Bingo doesn't know how to say no to people. And Bandit is going to explain how that happened in Baby Race Part 2. Dad Healer is going to show that at first Bingo did say no, but it was actually his fault that everything got messed up. Since Bingo kept saying no to bedtime or when it was time to eat, her dad taught her that saying no to someone was wrong. That was something bad that Dad Healer accidentally taught his daughter. So Bingo's lack of confidence in saying no is actually Bandit's fault. And the new lesson this little pup is going to learn is that not everything adults teach you is right. That's why this episode is so important. And hey, it's even more important to subscribe and hit the notification bell. The bark. But there's an even more powerful moment that shows why this new episode coming in Season 4 matters so much. The big girl bark. Bluey is a story about dogs who act like humans, but the Yoga Ball episode shows that these characters have a special ability. They bark loudly to show when they don't like something. If you haven't seen this episode, here's what happened. Bandit needed to work, but his daughters wanted to play, so they took Dad's Yoga Ball. When Bandit starts chasing after them, they ask him to use the Yoga Ball in their games. So far, so good. But Bingo is a younger pup, which means Bandit has to use less strength with her. That's what the big girl bark is for. When it's time to say something serious, the characters do what real dogs would do. So in the world of Bluey, barking is super important and totally connected to learning how to speak. In Baby Race Part 2, Bandit is going to show us what Bingo's big girl bark was like. Just a fun fact, if you paid attention to the youngest cousin Socks, you know she only barked for a long time. In Baby Race Part 1, Chili really wanted Bluey to walk, but she did a bunch of things before that. Rolling over, crawling on her butt, crawling backward, and only then actually walking. In Bingo's case, she definitely barked before she talked, and in the upcoming episode, that's exactly what we'll see happening. The doctor is going to say some growl before they speak, and then some bark before they speak. These are all stages Bingo went through, and that's why Baby Race Part 2 matters so much. In Part 1, Bluey kept comparing herself to Judo, and now Bingo is going to do the same with Muffin. Bingo's younger cousin is definitely a pup with a strong personality, so it's pretty clear that Muffin's big girl bark is louder than Bingo's. That's why in the competition, it might look like Muffin is winning, but just like in Part 1, Chili teaches them that everyone has their own timing, and that's why Bingo doesn't need to compare herself. Besides, Muffin has her own challenges too. The bike episode shows her struggling just to put on a backpack. In other words, the kids are all learning, and each of them has their own pace. But what do you think about that? The truth. Baby Race Part 2 is an episode that needs to happen, because Bingo is going to grow up this season and leave behind the little pup we've known until now. It's time to grow, and what better way to show that than with a story about how she grew? Maybe that's why Joe Brum, the creator of the show, decided to show those photos of an older red healer at the end of the surprise episode, and then reveal Bluey's daughter later. This is really cool, because starting from Baby Race Part 2, we're gonna see a whole new phase in Bingo's life. She might even learn things like singing. And that's pretty likely, since Bluey's a little pup who loves to do that. Older Bingo is a character every Bluey fan is going to love getting to know, so you better get ready. Time will pass, and it's finally time to meet the new Bingo. And now it's time for you to pick another super fun video right here on the channel. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.